Hey, this is just a quick video. I just got out from seeing the Conjuring: The Last Ride. I went to go see it with my daughter. I went to hang out with her and see my grandson, both of my grandsons. So it was me and her fiance. We went and seen The Last Ride. I like this movie. I really do. It's a nice little send off to. Hopefully they don't make no more because uh, I can't wait to get this and own it in 4K. But this was a really good story. They did a real good job of telling this story. And what I do like about this Last Ride is I feel like they did, uh, you know, uh, pay respect to the Warrens because they didn't uh, try to be all Hollywood with it. It's almost like they were making the movie and they was trying to stay true to whatever they were going through with this last one that was the last one. But I was going in there. I don't know why I was going in there, and I was just I didn't know what I was going to get. And the story I got was very good. It was very grounded. It was just a family that was being tormented by this spirit, and they come find out that something happened in that house that they lived in, and then it had something to do with a mirror. And the mirror, that was a creepy mirror, and that mirror got destroyed, and then somehow it got back, and it was up, came back in these people's house because they gave it to this girl as a birthday gift, this teenage girl, and she did deep down she didn't like it. So her and her older sister got rid of it, took it outside, and it got picked up by the garbage thing, and it got crushed and destroyed. But somehow that thing came back with the same scratch, cracked mirror, all that same. It was a creepy mirror, but it had a lot to do with a mirror. It had a lot to do with this house, and the guy ended up killing his wife because she had an affair, and uh, yeah, I don't. I was really jacked up to go see this movie. I really was, and what I do like about the way they make these movies is, I feel like whoever is in charge of the Warren story is whoever told himself, if you're going to make this movie, I don't want you to do all Hollywood. It's almost like they said, I don't want you to do all Hollywood. I want you to, stay true to what the Warrens went through. And I was really impressed with that because my daughter's like, Dad, I seen you. My daughter's like, her and her fiance both was like, Dad, it looked like you's fallen asleep there a couple times. I said, yeah, I did. It's because I was so excited about whatever. I don't know what I was excited about. I mean, I was excited, obviously, to see the movie. But I said there was parts in there that I was wanting it to get going. And I said, and then those parts that I wanted to get going, they were all right because they was trying to set up what was going on. They did a real good job of, you know, getting you to what was going on. They didn't rush through it. They didn't rush through this at all. Um, well, this one was the best one to me is the second one. The first one is the best one to me, and then the second one is the scariest one to me, and then the third one was a real good story, and then this last one was a real good story. That's where I could throw this into the category of how I look at movies. Because my daughter's like, yeah, Dad. She goes, I want to watch them all over again, And her boyfriend's like, he said, man, it was all right. He said it was all right. You know, he said there was a couple. Even he said that, even her fiance, he was like, he said, man, he said there's a couple times they got us with. There was a couple times, man, some of the imagery of how they scared you was pretty creepy. Uh, there was a part, man, where this girl had a birthday, and when she went to, I would, you have to watch it. She was getting ready to blow out a candle, and it looked like she blew it out. But I was like, I looked at my daughter and said, did she blow that candle out? My daughter's like, I don't think she did, Dad. And she's like, because it was kind of quick. It's almost like she went to go like that. But when she went to go, before she could do the fourth part, her lips went, but then it looks like somebody from here blew out the candle. And then when the candle went out, she said, hey, she goes, what you didn't blow out my candle? And her sister's like, I didn't blow out your candle. She goes, well, I didn't. And everybody couldn't see that whatever was in that house blew that candle out. That was a excellent shot. Another shot was where the two little girls was playing, and it was in the trailer, but she went after that doll, and that doll uh, got up and started walking, and then there was this. It ended up being this creepy old lady. The way that lady was, whoever this lady was, man, she was just, God, she was just a creepy little thing. I mean, it could, seeing her at night, man, and all of a sudden you see her. They did a good job with her. Uh, there was a part where they kept telling the dad, he says, "You got to do something, Dad." He says, because he ain't really had nothing happen to him. He just listened to his wife, because it started happening to his wife first, and then daughter was, it centered on the daughter, one of the teenage daughters. They had two teenage daughters, and they had two little girls too. But so he decides to go to bed. They're having an argument at the table because it's a family. They sit down and eat dinner. It's like back in the olden days where we all used to sit and eat dinner and stuff, and you didn't have all the stuff you got today. So anyway, they got in an argument, and she says, "Dad, you got to do something." She goes, "You just don't believe us." She goes, and so that night he went to bed. That thing came in, and what did it do? Yeah, he was getting ready to go to bed. He took his glasses off. He heard something. So when he went to grab his glasses fell on the floor. So he stooped down, put his glasses on. Then when he put his glasses on, so he looked down at the foot of his bed, and that creepy old lady was there. And me and my daughter did like this to me, and then we all three jumped. He didn't jump. Her fiance didn't jump that much, but he said there was a couple of them that got him. And I was like, holy crap. And then it scared him so bad that he went back and he was in shock. And then all of a sudden his body started floating in the air. So he was elevated in the air. And then his daughter went downstairs to do something. What happened? She went downstairs to do something. And then she heard something. Then there was this guy, looked like a Paul Bunyan, like a lumberjack, this real big tall dude with long hair, looking all rough, and he had this pickaxe. Now he was trying to kill her. So at the same time, he's downstairs trying to kill her, and he's taking a pickaxe and trying to kill her, and then he's upstairs, elevated up in the air, and then his wife, because it's her mom and dad's bedroom. So his wife wakes up. She sees him elevated up in the air, and then she hears her daughter scream. So when her daughter screams, and she gets up, it lets him down, and then he's like, and then they go down, and she's laying on the floor because and that's when this movie really starts taking off. There was some good shots. Excellent story though. It was excellent, and it was shot really, really. I love the way. I always like the way the Conjuring movies are shot, and they go back to that time era. There was a couple songs they played. I was telling my daughter, because my daughter's in her 30s and so is her fiance, and I'm in my 60s. I said, I remember that song. I said, I used to play that song. She just kind of smiled. Because I went back into 1986. Yeah, 1986. And so there was a lot of music that I used to listen to. And I said, man, I used to listen to that music. So I did a good job of getting you back in that time frame. But this one had a lot to do with the little girl, because when you watch the Conjuring, all the Warrens' little girl was always a little girl. This time she was full grown, and I thought that was pretty cool because she was full grown, and it had a lot to do with her. And come find out, I guess she was stillborn when she first was born, and so she was stillborn for like a minute, and then she ended up, she ended up surviving and stuff. So. But this is a good movie, you guys. This really is. I am not in any fashion or form disappointed. I am not disappointed in the story. I'm not disappointed in how it was shot. I'm not disappointed in anything. I'm not disappointed in the fact that it didn't blow my socks off as far as being scary and creepy and all that. It had everything in there that you want. But I think what I like the most is they did a good job of telling the story. And I think they did a good job respecting the Warrens, who is the actual people who went through all this stuff, and how they didn't Hollywood it up. Now, don't get me wrong, Warner Brothers produced it, but what I'm saying is that they stayed true to what the Warrens was going through and then try to Hollywood all up, you know what I mean? You know how Hollywood has a knack of trying to Hollywood things up. It's just a good basic movie about this last thing that this family went through, and this time it had a lot to do with the daughter being grown up, and then she's grown up, and she's got, she introduced her new boyfriend to the Warren, the father and the mom, which is the Warrens, and then he had a little bit in it and stuff, and he was curious about all the stories he heard through his fiance, because he asked to marry her in this movie. So that's what was cool about this movie. It went further up. And I guess this case was the case that just was basically the last case, maybe. But I hope that they don't make any more. I hope they put this to bed in respects to the Warrens. You know what I mean? I'm like that, you guys. I think that when you are doing something based on what somebody went through in real life and stuff, I think you ought to respect, the people that you're making the story behind. And don't, go off and try to make a spin-off of something that had nothing to do with what they went through. And so that's why I think that I was really impressed with the movie. Even my daughter's like, yeah, Dad, she goes, it was just a movie of them telling the story of this particular case, is what the case that was, she goes, that basically was the last case that they decided to do, because they just felt like they had to help this family. And they really didn't want to help that family. It was the daughter. And you guys, like I said, you guys know that the daughter in all the other Conjuring movies was little. This time she was full-grown adult girl. Matter of fact, her boyfriend that she was going to marry, because he asked to marry her, he asked her for her hand in marriage. And it was pretty good. But to seal this up, at the end, they end up getting rid of that thing. And then the family they helped. And it showed pictures of, and then at the end of the movie, it showed, their daughter getting married to this guy. But what was neat about her fiance, he was curious about all the cases that they did, and he ended up helping them with this last case, because it had a lot to do with the Warren's daughter, which was his fiance. So it's a pretty slick. And last but not least, at the end, it showed the wedding. It actually showed certain people that were in certain movies, except for the British family. But it showed the people in the first movie. It showed the mom that was in the first Conjuring. And I think that was it. I think it just showed the first family that they helped in the first movie called The Conjuring. And I was telling my daughter, I said, hey, look, there's stuff. And it had, the people that helped the Warrens, and the guy that got his face bit right here. And then the Asian guy, he was in it. This was a pretty slick movie. I like the fact that they did all that stuff. So overall, you guys, this is a really good movie, man. Really good movie. I can't wait till now. Since this is the last one, I'm hoping that they'll come out with a 4K Steelbook edition. I'll have all 8, because I got 7 on Blu-ray. I'll take that 7, and I'll get those that Blu-ray edition to my daughter. But this time if they come out, let's say, it's in the theater now, I give it 2 months, it'll be available to buy. And hopefully they'll make a collection, an 8-disc steelbook collection of the Conjuring series. But it's like I said, you guys, in closing, the first Conjuring is my favorite one. The second one is pretty daggone. Oh, that second one was just freaking chillingly scary. And then the third one was different. It wasn't bad at all. It was different. And that's what I like about these movies. Is instead of going in there just looking for the same formula, they went straight off and just told a different story in the third one. Yeah. The Conjuring, you got the Conjuring 2, and then you got The Devil Made Me Do It, and then you got Conjuring Last Rite. But there's 7 of them all together, because they had the Annabelle ones in there. They sprinkled in there, but I don't think the Warrens was in that one. But I know in the Annabelle, there was a bunch of Annabelle movies, but I know the Warrens had something to do with that doll. That's why I said 7. So anyway, you have The Nun. They made The Nun with, with that the actress that plays the Warren with her younger sister. She's an actress. She played in The Nun, and then you had The Nun too. So yeah, I'll have all when they come out with the collection. I'll have them all. But like I said, I hope you guys check this out, and I'm just giving it a great review. I am not disappointed. So if you're going in there looking for something to blow your socks off of, if you're just going in there and you're just going to respect the Warrens and you're going in there to respect the story and them telling a story about what this last case was, which is involved with the Warrens at a much later on in their life when their daughter's grown and she has her fiance, tells the story of that. Her daughter had a lot to do with them going to this house because they wanted to get, because he was having high blood pressure and he had a heart attack. So, his wife was concerned about that. So they had a lot of stuff in here. They covered a lot of stuff. So anyway, yeah, I just got back. I had to travel all the way to Cincinnati to go see it with my daughter and her boyfriend. But yeah, we seen it in she took me to this it was Cinemark, but man, they had this thing, man. When I got in there, I said, holy crap, those seats were so nice. It was like, and that screen was so nice, man. Them tickets was $15 a piece, but it was worth the $15, man. So anyway, God bless, take care of you guys, be safe out there, and have a good rest of your weekend. We'll catch you later. We'll see you.